Today on NewsWatch, devastating floods rip through Louisiana. We'll show you how CBN's Operation Blessing is stepping in and providing relief. Plus, the city of Rio has been in the spotlight because it's the site of this year's Olympic Games. But today, we'll meet a woman who's been shining her light in the city's darkest places for nearly 30 years. And
I love when people inbox me and say, I felt horrible until I read your post. That's what makes me feel good. Being popular means absolutely nothing to me.
See how this man is using social media to share the love of God with people who might never step foot inside of a church. Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Caitlin Burke. The death toll is rising again from the historic floods in Louisiana. The Red Cross says it's the worst natural disaster since Superstorm Sandy, with more than 40,000 homes impacted. Charlene Aaron has the story.
This is the devastation from Louisiana's historic flooding. Cleanup has begun as some homeowners and businesses return to find total destruction.
Speechless. Don't know where to start.
Waters are starting to recede in areas hardest hit, but flooding still widespread in some areas, with some who survived Hurricane Katrina 11 years ago saying this is far worse.
Everything that I had is gone. Everything. Everything.
It's like the end of your life, end of your world, having to start over like that. We worked so hard for it.
At a news conference, Governor John Bel Edwards said some 40,000 properties and counting have been damaged by the historic flooding, and well over 30,000 people have been rescued across the state.
Nobody is going to be forgotten. We're going to work around the clock, and we're going to do everything humanly possible to render aid.
CBN's Operation Blessing is on the scene, assisting residents affected by the flooding, many of their homes uninsured.
It is such a blessing to know that people care. Well, we're having to pull out all of the furniture, all the beds, everything is gone.
Operation Blessing is going to help Miss Maryland as well as many other families and residents that have been flooded and devastated by these floodwaters. Operation Blessing is going to link arms and help these residents in this community get back on their feet.
Operation Blessing, in partnership with local ministries like Healing Place Church in Denham Springs, has an urgent need for volunteers and funds to help families begin the first steps to recover. Meanwhile, forecasters predict even more rain for some areas of the state over the rest of the week. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
More than 82,000 people were told to evacuate their homes Tuesday because of a wildfire spreading across Southern California. 700 firefighters were trying to control the fire that overtook 15,000 acres. 2 firemen were trapped by the flames while helping residents evacuate, but they weren't seriously injured. Meanwhile, up to a dozen buildings and 175 homes were burned 60 miles east of Los Angeles. Authorities have arrested 40-year-old Damon Pashlick for the fires. Donald Trump's message to party leaders: I am who I am. The Republican candidate says he has no plans to change his style for the general election.
Everyone talks about, oh, well, you're going to pivot. I don't want to pivot. I mean, you have to be you. If you start pivoting, you're not being honest with people.
However, Trump's been using new language to talk about how he would make decisions as president, contradicting his claims that he won't, quote, pivot. Meanwhile, polls continue to show Trump's methods don't appeal to a majority of Americans, Hillary Clinton leading nationally and in key battleground states. Clinton is having some issues of her own. The House Oversight Committee is now reviewing FBI documents related to the investigation of her email server. President Obama has released 15 more terror suspects from Guantanamo Bay. The Pentagon is reporting that brings the number of Gitmo detainees down to 61. The 15 prisoners were transferred Monday to the United Arab Emirates. This latest release is the largest under President Obama so far. About 180 terror suspects have been transferred since he took office. Mr. Obama's goal is to remove most prisoners from the offshore prison before his term ends in January. Anjem Chowdhury, the UK's notorious pro-jihad preacher, has been convicted for supporting ISIS. Chowdhury has been a figurehead for radical Islam for years, pledging loyalty to the Islamic State and its leader. Although he swore he didn't pose a physical threat to the West, CNN reports that authorities were able to link him to the battlefields of Iraq and Syria. In an interview with CNN in 2014, Chowdhury said, "I believe that Sharia is the best way of life. I believe that one day it will come to America and the rest of the world." A South Carolina school board is moving to put prayer back in school. Despite the threat of a lawsuit, the Berkeley County School Board approved the first steps towards allowing prayer at their meetings Tuesday. Critics say the prayer policy is unconstitutional, but the school board cited a Supreme Court decision affirming the right to pray at its public meetings. What's better than baseball on a beautiful summer afternoon? It's baseball with the stands filled with believers. The Colorado Rockies celebrated the 12th annual Faith Day at Coors Field, featuring musical guest David Crowder. CBN contributor Stephanie Riggs caught up with Crowder and the team.
Worship, baseball, a beautiful Colorado summer afternoon, and David Crowder at the mic, leading the way.
Here's my heart, oh. We have the best view, I think, as you're seeing, especially if you hit a song that has been really meaningful to somebody, you can kind of spot different folks in the crowd that are maybe a little more overt in their expressions. And when you hit that song that's like their song, it's pretty special.
This is how the Colorado Rockies celebrate Faith Day. Faith comes from the top down for the Colorado Rockies, from ownership to coaches.
I just ask for forgiveness, that's it. Just ask him to be my savior and to, for him to be the captain of my ship instead of me. And to change my life, change my thinking, change my habits, and he did. It was amazing.
Players are encouraged to go to church, attend team Bible studies, and pray. For many Major League players, like Nick Hudley, who catches for the Rockies, Faith Day is every day.
Like it says, iron sharpens iron. We try to hold each other accountable. Obviously, we're playing a really intense sport at the highest level, and there's grown men out there. Obviously, it isn't the boys' club down the street, but I think people in that locker room, a lot of people love Jesus, and there's a lot of people that aren't afraid to say it, which is awesome. And nobody's ashamed of the gospel, and I think that really permeates throughout the clubhouse for sure.
If Jesus played baseball, what position would he play?
He'd be a catcher for sure.
Why is that?
Because you run the show.
Well, baseball is the setting for Faith Day. The real goal here isn't who wins the game, but winning souls for Christ by sharing the good news, worship, fellowship, and testimony.
To be able to tell them that Jesus loves you in your present tense right now. He doesn't love like your future self more than he loves you right this second. You haven't gone too far. Grace is big enough to cover anything that you're carrying.
The Rockies are not alone in making a stand for Christ. The Nationals, Braves, Reds, Astros, Cardinals, Dodgers, Twins, and Rangers all have similar faith days. In Denver, Stephanie Riggs, CBN News.
This fall, the Tennessee Titans will have the first Faith Day for the NFL, and some hockey teams are in the beginning stages of planning one as well. The event takes place after the game, and those games are usually sold out whether the team is winning or not. Coming up, helping the least of these. See how this missionary is bringing help and hope to the people of Rio de Janeiro. The U.S. Olympic squad is still racking up the medals in Rio. Gymnast Lori Hernandez claiming the silver medal on the balance beam, Simone Biles following behind with the bronze. U.S. track star and Christian athlete Allison Felix missed out on her 5th Olympic gold medal, but still claimed silver. That came after her opponent literally dove across the finish line for a dramatic win in the 400-meter. Meanwhile, security in Rio is a growing concern after American swimmer Ryan Lochte was robbed at gunpoint. Some countries have banned their athletes from venturing out. Rio is notorious for dangerous crime. And that's exactly why one missionary has devoted her life to bringing hope to the children of Rio's slums. Gary Lane reports on how she's changing lives for Christ in one drug and crime-infested neighborhood.
Missionary Edmia Williams walks the streets of Santa Marta Favela in Rio de Janeiro, receiving hugs and affection. But at first it was not so. She arrived 26 years ago, when this was Rio's most violent place, a neighborhood known as a center of witchcraft. The police did not dare enter here. In places like this, in front of the White Cross, human sacrifices were made. But Edmia felt something special for the favela's children.
The main problem here is that the majority of the mothers are single mothers, because most of them, the husband is in prison, and then this kid will be free in the favela, in the hands of everybody. And they begin looking to the bandits as the heroes.
That's how she founded the House of Mary and Martha, a project for child evangelism that offers physical, material, and spiritual support. CBN Latin America producer Javier Bolaños visited the slum where Williams serves.
Under the arms of the Christ the Redeemer statue here in Rio de Janeiro, the children in the Santa Marta favela struggle to survive. But at the feet of Jesus Christ, Missionary Edmia Williams and her team work hard to bring hope for these children.
Wallace Pereira came to the House of Mary and Martha when he was a boy. Years later, after attending university, he came back, now as a teacher. Today, his daughter studies here.
I started coming to House of Mary and Martha when I was 4 years old. Then I continued my education outside the favela, but I kept contact with Edmia. 2 years ago, she called me, and I came back as a teacher.
Edmia's work has the financial support of several churches and ministries in Brazil. Victory in Christ Church sends her an offering every month.
She is a woman that was carved for this job. God calls people with a vocation. Edmia's work is highly respected here. Her work is admirable, so we help her because she is a serious woman who has a story, and that is very important to me.
The missionary appreciates help, but she's sure that God provides supernaturally, and that's why her pantry is always full. Still, she has a special request.
My need, first of everything, is prayer, because I work under threat and in danger all the time, because I never know who is going to. I know that I have an adversary that wants to stop me, and I feel this every time, and I need prayer because I know that everything is possible in my life because there are people praying for me.
Gary Lane, CBN News.
Ride of Faith. Coming up, meet the man who speaks the truth from the back of his 18-wheeler. We'll show you why millions tune in to hear what he has to say. Christopher Preston just can't wait to get on the road again. That's where this Mississippi truck driver meets with God. It's also where he's found a way to spread the gospel to people who would never go to church. As Charlene Aaron reports, Preston's videos are touching millions of lives through social media.
Christopher Preston travels the highways of America in his Mack truck, something he's been doing for the last 15 years. He admits driving long distances for hours on end can at times be lonely. But Preston, who is also an ordained minister, takes faith along for the ride.
There are times that my radio doesn't come on until 1 or 2 o'clock in the day, because I spend that time just talking to God. I'm not going to focus on anything else. I'm not going to answer my phone. I'm not going to do anything but talk to God. And you might be surprised at how often God would come in the truck with me and sit down beside me and minister to me.
Today, God's messages to Preston are going far beyond the cab of his truck. It all started after he posted this video on Facebook.
And I see a young lady bought some antifreeze in front of me, and she started to put it in her car. When she opened the hood, I saw her, But after I noticed it was smoking, I pulled around in front of her car to say, hey, ma'am, I'll do that for you. And you shouldn't open that hot. She says, oh, no, I got it. And so I said, well, ma'am, it's already smoking. You don't know how much force it's going to have when it comes out. And she starts looking real nervous and says, oh, no, I got it, really. I got it. And so I saw she was looking nervous. I didn't understand why. I said, okay, well, man, just be careful when you open it because it may spew out on you. I looked around her hood and her boyfriend or significant other and one of his friends, the friend is in the back seat. They're sitting in there watching this lady open this hood and put this antifreeze in a hot vehicle.
He went on to chastise those men and others who don't step up to protect and help women. More than 6 million people around the world viewed his comments, and many men and women offered strong reactions. Carletta Hullum Love said, shaking my head, it happens all the time. They just don't know their worth. Kelvin Watts responded, her fault. She allows it. She doesn't demand respect. Ashley Wright responded, I'd rather just stay single. I recently visited Preston at his home in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and he told me why he posted the now viral video.
In that moment, I began to see something that really disturbed me. The fact that she was so accustomed to doing everything herself and not asking the guy that she was with to do anything, that she saw nothing wrong with that behavior. She had no problem with that. That bothered me.
No matter what has happened in your life, find a way. Pray upon a way. Fast upon a way. Find a way to move on, because if it didn't kill you, you have but one other choice, and that's to get over it and find a way to move on so that you can live the empowered life that you deserve.
A burning desire to share life-changing truth compelled him to produce messages on his newly created Facebook page, Preston's Practical Perspectives.
The responses I've gotten since then from people saying that they've been personally helped since then has moved me, and it's kept a fire under me. And now I'm to a place that if I wanted to quit and do something different, I can't. I'm compelled to go further because there are too many people who are counting on and relying on to give some voice to their problems.
From the cab of his 18-wheeler and with smartphone in hand, Christopher Preston is reaching millions of people with the gospel, many who say they've never once attended church.
There are some people who don't feel at home in your traditional church. Well, just because they don't feel at home in these places, that does not let me off the hook as a Christian whose job it is to go and seek these people. I don't want God to come back and I say I didn't reach them because they didn't come to where I was. I can't be so hung up on my traditional way of reaching people. At some point, as a minister of the gospel, I'm going to have to care more about reaching them than I care about doing it my way.
While he's surprised by the attention, Preston says being an internet sensation takes a back seat to helping people who struggle with life's issues.
I love when people inbox me and say, I felt horrible until I read your post. I love it when a young boy says, I was just about to go and relapse on drugs until I read your post. I love it when a woman inboxes me and says, hey, your video was the first step toward my getting out of a really bad and abusive situation. And I want to tell you thank you today. I want to tell you thank you today because you addressed something that needed to be addressed. And so that's what makes me feel good. Being popular means absolutely nothing to me.
And as this trucker's wheels keep rolling, so will his passion to serve those searching for answers. Charlene Aaron, CBN News, Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Well, if you ever doubted that God could use social media to reach someone, there you go. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Christians in India are demanding that a popular food company remove a television commercial that presents an anti-Christian bias. The food company is airing an advertisement showing a cross over a map of India and mentions that foreign products are harmful to people. The Global Council of India Christians says the commercial is shocking, objectionable, and absolutely unwarranted. GCIC says the cross should not be linked to foreign companies and products or presented in a negative light. Christianity was first brought to India nearly 2,000 years ago by the Apostle Thomas. The Christian group says it may start a boycott of the company or take legal action if the commercial isn't removed from Indian television. That's it for now on CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care about most at cbnnews.com. Have a great day.